Live.
We are live. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the BAMF podcast. I'm your host, Mike Lafferty, and we're here today to talk pop culture. And with us to facilitate this discussion is Walt Rebelliard. How you doing, Walt?
I am not talking about baby metal, but Chuck might.
There's Chuck Rice, who wants to talk about baby metal.
I'm in a constant state of wanting to talk about baby metal.
And last but not least, the guy who also will not be discussing baby metal, Aid Smith. How you doing, Aid?
I'm good, thank you.
We discovered a long-held secret that Aid once had metal hair.
Of course.
Well, I think Chuck currently has metal hair, and I used to have metal hair, but age caught up with me, and Chuck is managing to outrun it fat better than I am. So
I'm still contemplating the mohawk. I haven't quite got to the shave side yet, but that's still on my to-do list. So we'll see. Do it.
There is no more iconic picture than the one from the Airborne from World War II, and the two guys in mohawks painting each other up, getting ready to jump.
Oh, cool!
Love that picture.
Why? Because I live in Boulder, but mohawks are surprisingly common around here.
Okay.
Yeah, every once in a while I see some young kid with a mohawk, and I'm like, hey.
Has that become more common since, the weed showed up there in force? I mean, well, I'm sure the weed was always there, but I'll bet it's more common now.
There's a big difference between you can go to a retail establishment in the corner and buy it, and you got to go talk to a guy in the apartment complex 2 miles away to buy it. It's downtown always smells like a skunk. Just awesome. Always smells like a skunk. And we had a big migration of very chill dudes. Like the first 6 months to a year, rent prices went up, and response times on delivery drivers went way the fuck down. And those were the primary effects of marijuana. And a lot of people from the South, a lot of Texans moved up here, and then winter showed up, and they're like, what the fuck? Surprising number of people from Florida, too. And then, like, the first Colorado winter shows up, and they're like, oh, wow, you guys weren't fucking around about this. No, it gets cold. So once it gets legalized in some places down south, I hope things go back to normal. But yeah, it's made a big difference. I mean, it's just kind of normal now. But I mean, people from out of town, it still kind of freaks them out. My boss, God bless him, has reached the place in life where he's important enough that no one tells him he's boring. And he had this long ass story. He stopped in a hotel last time he was in town. There was something smelling funny. He opened the drawer, and oh my God, there's a pound of weed, or a large quantity of high THC content weed. And he's like, I don't know what to do about this. This is an unusual situation life hasn't prepared me for. And he calls a friend of his in law enforcement back in Oregon. The guy's like, well, you understand that's legal where you are, right? They can't arrest you for that. Then let me Google. Oh, that's $300 worth of weed you got there. I don't know what to do with this. Why don't you just give it to the front desk? They'll probably be happy about that.
Sell it to the first guy you meet for $100.
Yeah. Anyway, that story I just told you in 90 seconds took him about 10 minutes of my life in a meeting. And because he was my boss's boss, I couldn't roll my eyes or sigh deeply or play on my phone while he's telling us this fucking. So anyway, that's the big negative impact I've had. Weed legalization is, tourists telling stories like that. But anyway, pop culture. Walt, you wanted to talk about
The Witcher.
Oh, tell me about this.
Well, for those who've been living under a rock for like the last 15 years, The Witcher really gained popularity in the United States after a company kind of crossed the pond, and it was a Polish company that created the game, and they put it out on PC. It did very well. It got a sequel, which also did very well. And because they're pulling heavily from these very iconic, very almost alien to readers of like Westerns fantasy, when you're all exposed to Tolkien and dual wielding scimitar elves, done from the people over here. That is a really nice. Those novels are a really nice breath of fresh air. And to have a series based on the novels is really exciting. The games are gorgeous and fantastic, but I think one of the things that the media tells both the novels. I just reread the comics again. I have the original Witcher run with. Oh my God, I'm gonna forget his name. The guy who does Hellboy, Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a lot of his covers on the. They're just amazing, but yeah, it's a really great story. The concept of just because society calls you a monster doesn't mean you are one. Is played very heavily throughout the novels. 99% of the time, um, the main story has to deal with how humanity is the real monster here, and it's not all these supernatural creatures they keep encountering
and killing and hiring our hero to kill.
Yeah. Have you read the novels?
I have not, but I'm familiar with the lore, as the kids say.
So good. So for those who haven't delved deep, they the idea is that through magic and black sorcery, they created this type of mutant human called a witcher, who is responsible for killing supernatural creatures for money. They can ingest all sorts.
None of them do it just for fun.
No, or like the sheer honor of protecting society. Hell no, you're gonna kill monsters. You're gonna get paid. And they use a combination of like minor magics and like potions to enhance themselves to help fight some of these creatures. But like I said, a lot of the book has to do with the evil we do to ourselves. We don't need help from the supernatural. We are suitably evil enough, as seen in the character of Yennefer from the series. Her story arc is just like a tortured person who turns to like really dark magic in order to try and feel normal among people who don't get her. It's really creepy. Great series. They got Man of Steel, Henry Cavill playing the lead role, and it's funny because of his very British accent. When he does the American accent, his voice takes on that tone that sounds like he's a voice actor on the video game, and it seems to work in the trailers. So I'm really excited.
CGI out a mustache on this one though.
No CGI mustache.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I can't tell you. I haven't looked close enough at the trailer to tell you whether or not the white hair is CGI, but we can
pretty sure it's a wig. They did a camera test video a few months back showing him basically in that white wig. So,
okay,
for what it's worth,
I've just watched the trailer as you've been talking, and it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played The Witcher 3, but I was terrible at it, so I got stuck. Yeah, the only thing I'm surprised about is no big monsters in the trailer. There's a little kind of squiggly grey thing, but no kind of manticores or in the Witcher, the last Witcher game. There's loads of big monsters,
big, nasty monsters.
So whether or not they'll pop up, but for a Netflix show, I mean, crikey, that is almost Game of Thrones money being thrown at there. At least it looks like it. There's a lot of extras and a lot of armor and a lot of weapons, and yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Netflix has a surprising amount of money, and they're sort of they're very weird about the promotion on some of these shows. I mean, like Marco Polo was this huge historical epic with a cast of thousands and costumes and locations, and I didn't even know about it till it was canceled.
Have you watched it?
I've heard it's really good. I've just watched the first 20 minutes or so.
It's amazing. They're the guy who played Wong from Doctor Strange plays Kublai Khan.
I would say Benedict.
Benedict, yes.
Not Benedict Cumberbatch. It's something Benedict, isn't it?
It's Wong, isn't it?
It might be Benedict Wong. Actually, you might be right. Yeah,
it's kind of funny because he played.
It might well be because he's been in a few British TV shows, so I actually knew of him before Doctor Strange. So it's like, oh my god, that guy was in the IT crowd. That's really weird.
Yeah. His name is Benedict Wong.
Yeah, there you go.
And he was in. He plays the excuse me. He plays the headmaster in Deadly Class. Remender's kind of like ode to Harry Potter. Go screw yourself, J.K. Rowling. Epic that's on Sci-Fi Channel, which is really good also. But yeah, his portrayal of Kublai Khan as a conflicted warlord who's trying to bring his nation to the wider world is really good.
Okay, but how do you get an entire series out of a game being played in a swimming pool? I don't understand it.
That's a good question, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I can see one parts maybe, but 10? I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It was Marco Polo was aside from the fact that you have to close your eyes to watch it and playing it in the pool. It was really good. The character of Marco Polo is very interesting. How he comes into Kublai's service is very interesting. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And season 2 left you on this crazy cliffhanger, and now we don't get another one. And it's just like, oh, this blows.
Strange.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing to do. But yeah, there's amazing stuff on Netflix, but sometimes it seems like it's almost undercover.
Well, also they were saying obviously that the two guys from Game of Thrones putting out a Star Wars deal. They were saying Netflix were throwing like 23 million at them or something ridiculous like that, and they said you just don't pass up that money for Netflix. Now, obviously, the other part of the story was that apparently the Star Wars people were saying, "Well, we're not quite interested in what you want to do with your Star Wars film, so we're going to pass." But
yeah, because according to some of the articles according to some of the articles, they've been looking. They wanted to do the origin of the Jedi.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Disney is not going to say it, but between them canceling that and the Rian Johnson trilogy being shelved, I think Disney wants this franchise to live for decades, and they were in danger of killing that shit because they're trying to financially leverage nostalgia. Well, and you can't piss off all the old guys who want to watch your movies and still do that. So,
the problem I have with it is always seems to be the treadmill of having a new one out all the while. I mean, say with the original trilogy, it was like, oh my god, there's a new Star Wars film out. It's been 3 years since the last one. And it's like, oh, there's a new Star Wars film next year. Oh, there'll be another one the year after as well. Don't worry. And it just gets crazy. It's the same.
Yeah.
I've been watching YouTube videos on it. They're talking about the toys not selling. And the same thing. When I was a kid, you got toys. It was birthday and Christmas, and you might get one or two every so often. Now it's like, okay, we have to get these toys sold every single week. That somebody has to be going out and doing a new toy, and we have to keep producing this stuff and keep it going. And it's just like they don't do seasonal stuff anymore. It just seems to be a constant treadmill. So,
well, it's a different game, right? I mean, you got the adult collector market, and they want what they want.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. But I mean, if the other thing, obviously, if these guys had got the Game of Thrones guys had got the go ahead to do that, would it piss people off if it went against the Knights of the Old Republic stuff that has already been pre-established? Because even though Disney effectively swept away all that expanded universe canon, the game's still running. So obviously, there's some acceptance to it because Disney haven't killed that dead.
And if Disney was smart, I mean, we know they're not, because I mean, purple-haired admirals that keep all their secrets to themselves and blah 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 is just the Last Jedi. I mean, we've gone on at length about it. I mean, it was a fun movie, but it was a terrible Star Wars film. And the thing is, if the Disney guys were smart, they would look to the guys who were doing the trailers for the Mandalorian looks amazing.
Mandalorian is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Mandalorian should have been its own trilogy. I'm not being funny. Just watching that trailer, unless it really does really shitty, this could have been the next Star Wars film.
The reviews are already coming in, and people are saying it's dynamic. It's really good. Remains to be seen, obviously, until November 12th. But
hey, can you guys hear the sound? Want to turn the sound on?
Go ahead. Nope, can't hear it.
All right, sure.
Oh, wait a minute. Do it again. Do it again.
All right, hang on. Tabs. There we go.
Now, nope, it's not doing anything.
Okay.
But I mean, if Disney was really smart, they would take the director of the Knights of the Old Republic video game trailers, like the what do you call it? The
cutscenes,
the cinematics.
Yeah.
Those are phenomenal. I mean, like action and emotion all in a 5 to 10 minute thing. Oh my god.
The part I like the best where he kills those guys just casually, just happened. But there's a bit here in a second where there's an IG-8 model that's just
the cool thing about this is the CGI looks pretty decent, but there's loads of practical effects in it. The stuff, the actual places, the buildings they walk into looks practical. The stormtroopers look really good. It doesn't, and it hasn't got that kind of glossy, shiny Saturday.
Yeah, there's the IG-88.
Yeah, but apparently it might not even be IG-88, which is really pissing me off a little bit.
But there are like a bunch of those droids
there
out
is,
there.
but it's like, why did you change it? It should be IG-88. But yeah.
I love the Mandalorians using the Boba Fett rifle from the Christmas special.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, but it looks good, and again, it's
Star Wars Holiday Special canon confirmed.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Using the rifle from the cartoon.
It's now been confirmed to be canon.
Fuck it, it's all real. Life Day, Lumpy, it all really happened.
But yeah, this trailer for The Witcher is just phenomenal. And his
what's up with the opening shot of the Cavill ass? I could do without that.
Some people could not. Mike.
I guess they played the Cavill money. They want the Cavill ass, but I could. Yeah,
well, think about it this way: look at Aquaman, right? And that what that did for what Jason Momoa did for Aquaman.
Do we know? Do we know if The Witcher TV is actually following the novels, or is it a completely unique story?
I don't. I haven't looked that closely into it
because I think personally. I think if they do a unique story, you get less rebellion from people because it's that contradicts the book so much because we're not doing the books, we're not doing the game, we're doing something unique, and I think that's kind of like where Game of Thrones also had the problem. Oh, you've changed so much, It's like, don't worry.
Well, I mean, it looks a little bit like maybe it's taking after the first book because it looks like they're doing the origin of one of the characters, the girl with the dark hair and the purple eyes. Mm-hmm. That's Yennefer.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, if you're doing her, you're probably dealing with some of the first books.
Yeah, I was expecting more monsters to be in here by this point.
Yeah.
If you watch the teaser trailer from about 6 months ago, there's a couple of big monsters in it.
Cool.
So, but yeah, he goes into a swamp in one of them, and and he has to deal with a monster. So, but like I said, the majority of this series is all about the evil we do to each other, and that we don't need help from vampires and wraiths and hippogriffs and the other things that these guys are routinely used to hunt down.
Because I saw an odd thing on one of my newsfeed thingies that basically said that when they started making Game of Thrones for HBO, they were told to play down the fantasy aspects of it. And you're thinking, oh, well, wait a minute, you got a story about 3 giant dragons. Surely that's a fundamental part of it. You can't really reduce it down that much. And White Walker zombies and all. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Well, but that tells you everything you need to know about the wisdom of goddamn television producers.
Well, yeah, because the reason they gave was basically, we want this to appeal to a broader range of people. But to be honest, when season 1 of Game of Thrones came in, there weren't any people that weren't at least watching at least one episode of it. Yeah,
what do we want? Just the audience of a Marvel movie? We need a big audience.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we could do a whole episode about Game of Thrones, and maybe that ship has already sailed, but the first 2 episodes of the last season I thought were really well done. I just wish they'd found a way to give it a satisfying ending because fuck, that last episode just sucked. Speaking of things that do not suck, how's that for a segue? Let's talk about Chuck Rice's new game, City of Solstice, on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah,
I hear there is a lot of good and a lot to love. Other than the stupid cattail that keeps getting in my video.
Yeah, it's going well. I've been promoting the hell out of it, which seems to help. Weirdly, it's. I don't know. Where do I start? Ask me a question. Ask me anything about City of Solstice.
I think the thing that I really enjoy about City of Solstice the most is that. It's kind of like we were just talking a second ago, right? Oh, really, Kat? It's like play down the fantasy aspect, but you really didn't, right? Because it's kind of like at any point somebody could smuggle a dirty bomb into the city, and that dirty bomb is magic. At any point that you could end up with somebody really doing some very nasty stuff to people through mystical means. And it kind of looms over the whole setting. You know, we've cut this part of our society out because it's so dangerous to the natural order.
Yeah.
And get out of there. Yeah, you dog. It's so dangerous to the natural order that we can't risk having it out in the open unless we control it. So I think that's the thing I really enjoy about the setting the most.
Well, and yeah, I feel like I might have talked about the setting incorrectly at first because I stressed all of the crime noir influences, which are totally there. But like, as I've been talking about it more lately and reminding people that, you know, this is still a fantasy setting, and you have the City of Solstice, which is named after the goddess Solstice. And she's super pissed off because her worship is illegal in her city. And she has kind of appeared to some priests and darkly intoned that this is not okay. And she's really unhappy. And so, you know, there are lots of other aspects to it that are kind of influencing what's going on, right?
Cool. You guys recently did an actual play over on our sister podcast, the Babies with Knives. How'd that go?
Walt, how do you think it went?
Once we got the technical issues hammered out, so we had this really interesting game session in which Chuck wanted to murder most of us because we encounter a bear. And the bear puns were flying. Mike, you would have been proud. It was of epic proportions.
That sounds unbearable.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
And Chuck was like, "I am going to murder you all," and it was fantastic and it was glorious. And one of the producers from Babies with Knives didn't notice that the broadcast platform we were using had stopped recording.
Was that Discord?
OBS.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Thank you, StreamYard, for being reliable. That's what I pay that money.
But I mean, it was you know, we did a second session where we picked up basically where we had left off from the first with a quick when we last left our intrepid heroes. And also a lot of fun. And I really enjoy the setting because I enjoy the idea that you have it feels like fantasy Chicago. You know, you get that sense of really good people trying to operate in a really shitty town.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I actually had a gentleman that I did an interview with, and he was like, why would you do this under Osric? Because they're the police in this corrupt town. And so there's going to be all these moral conundrums and investigations and shades of gray. And I was like, no, the reason Osric makes sense is that there's none of that. There are no moral conundrums. There's bad guys, and you kick in the door and you fucking kill them if they don't surrender.
Yeah, then the good thing about Osric too is that it marries well with some of the other OSR stuff out there. Like if you wanted to get your swords and wizardry on with this, it's not a big deal.
Oh, you would not have to really convert it much at all. The great thing about D&D prior to 3rd edition, and look, I like D20, but it's the fork in the road. It's a completely new game system, whereas 2nd edition, 1st edition, OD&D, they're really very much cross-compatible to a high degree.
And like I was talking to somebody the other day who was really excited about. Have you guys heard of Carbon 2185?
No.
That sounds familiar. But
they did a Kickstarter not too long ago. It's basically Cyberpunk done with 5e.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
The artwork is gorgeous. I haven't played it, but you know, they were talking that because 5e really went that road of like trying to bring all the different editions back to the table so that they could play together. He was like, you know, I think I might get City of Solstice because I think I could use this for my Carbon 2185 game.
Nice.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that was a smart move on Wizards' part, trying to, bring third, second, whoever back to the table and say we can all run with this material. This is, increases your audience size instead of what's every other publisher do. I'm gonna make my own system.
Well, it's definitely a lot easier to run anything previous with fifth edition, and fourth edition. Fourth edition, you'd have to literally redo everything. With this one, you can almost hand wave stuff and just go, okay, yeah, it's got this many hit points.
Have you had to do that a lot with fourth edition? Aid, did you play fourth edition?
Fourth edition, I didn't touch. Fourth edition, I bought the core books, and that was all. And that is necessarily not a bad thing on fourth edition because it just happened to my gaming group broke up after we're right at the end of third edition. So we were, I bought the fourth edition books, but we was just trying to finish up a campaign of third edition. So obviously we didn't change rule systems, and then it just broke up after that. So we never got to play it. So for X amount of years, I just didn't play anything. So I wasn't buying D&D books. And then fifth edition came along, and I managed to get on Roll20 and play something. So, but yeah. I think fifth edition's definitely got a lot of second edition, third edition stuff in there. I mean, I use a lot of third edition stuff in my fifth edition games anyway, so that's fairly easy to come across. So,
I keep thinking that whoever does the superhero version of 5e is going to have the kind of success that Green Ronin had with Mutants and Masterminds back in first ed, second ed days. But looking at Drive-Thru RPG, if I filter for superhero and 5e compatible, there's a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this is it, because I'd like to say you go for that Cyberpunk game you just mentioned. Why Not Games just bought out their science fiction game. Christ, what was that one? Okay, I've completely gone blank because I've been playing the Outer Worlds on the Xbox, and that's literally the only thing I can think of at the moment.
Are you talking about Starfinder?
No, it was okay, give me a sec. But yeah, they've got that. They've got fifth edition version of the pulp setting that Castles from Crusades guys put out. That's just kickstarted a lot long ago. The guy from EM Publishing just did started his own company and did effectively like a Spycraft 5th edition game as well. So it does seem to be coming that almost that 3rd edition kind of core toolbox that people could mess around. Rocket Age.
Can we start talking about the glut again?
Yes,
so I can just ram my head into the nearest door.
Yeah, it's Rocket Age, what it is. But this is the weird thing, because I'm not sure if technically we are getting the glut, but like DM's Guild handles a lot of that for 5th edition. I mean, it's the amount of stuff on DM's Guild compared to stuff that was released in print for 3rd edition. There must be much more of it nowadays. But obviously the production costs are low because you haven't got to create a new book every time. But I think people have learned a lesson from the 3rd edition stuff. But there's a lot of good stuff for 3rd edition out there as well. That was the thing. But you just had to filter through it all. That was the problem. You had to just kind of go, okay, that looked really interesting. Some of the Scarred Land stuff I picked up and I've inserted into like Spelljammer campaigns in the past, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's just sifting through it all. That's the problem.
So Chuck, can we talk about the Kickstarter process a little bit, or is it you're still on the roller coaster going the last 8 days? I'm guessing you're probably at peak stress level right now.
I'm actually relatively calm. It was the middle period where I was like, what the fuck is going on? Sure, we can talk about that. I have no idea what's going to happen. So, I'm on a boat. I'm on the river. I'm picking up speed. I hear the sound of falling water in the distance. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Who can say what will happen? It'll probably be awesome.
It could be rain. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's nothing dangerous.
No, not at all.
I guess we should mention our friends over at the Crossplanes blog. They've been they've been kind enough to have you on a couple times talking about different parts of. Actually, this is kind of a cool thing we haven't talked about on this podcast yet. The way you've changed magic. You're not using Vancian magic for this setting.
Correct.
Yeah, could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Vancian magic is one of the core tenets of D&D, and it's actually one of the things that has changed very little. Fourth edition tried to change it. The less said about that, the better, I suppose. But so what I wanted magic to be more versatile and less predictable. So if you think about a cleric in D&D, I think that they're kind of the perfect example, because if you're a cleric and you take anything other than healing and buffs, everyone at the table is just going to hate your guts. And so, like, a good half of the cleric spell list goes untouched by the average cleric. So I wanted to get rid of that. I also wanted to get rid of that notion of the magic user has the perfect spell to deal with this situation. Oh, but not right now, because he didn't know that he was going to need it when he woke up this morning.
Yeah, if I knew I memorized knock this morning, we could have got out of this
correct.
situation. Yeah.
Right. I would be bathed in glory. The fighter would pick me up and carry me around on his shoulders. But who the fuck takes knock, and we're all dead. So the way it works is you have a number of mana dice, and your mana dice are equal to your max spell level. So a third level caster can cast first and second level spells. So he has 2d4, and to cast a first level spell, he needs 5 mana. To cast a second level spell, he needs 10 mana. So if he's rolling 2d4, he's obviously not going to successfully cast a second level spell the round he throws it, but he can keep building up the mana from round to round until he decides to set the spell off. So it's less predictable, but on the other side of it, he has access to every spell he knows.
Which, that's what I was hit by Vancian magic, was you got to pick that spell list in the morning, and how do you know when you're drinking your coffee what you're going to be doing at 2 p.m? You know,
correct. Yeah,
you could be fighting some kobolds, you could be fighting some gnolls, you could be fighting some trolls, and those are different spells for all those guys.
Right, and then it brings a new category of magic items into the game, which allow you to generate more mana. So for paladins and clerics, we're talking about relics. So you could have, some really awesome guy's thumb around your neck, and that would allow you to generate more mana. In the case of magic users, it's enchanted wands, books, pointed hats, whatever. They come in all shapes and sizes.
Dream catchers, crystals.
Don't forget kazoos.
There you go.
Maybe some essential oils.
No.
You laugh, but you friend these people on Facebook, like parents of my kids' friends from kindergarten. And right now, like a good 20% of all suburban women I meet this way are trying to sell essential oils to each other. It's like the new Tupperware or new multi-level marketing scheme for that demographic. It's
well, they are essential, aren't they? That's why. Everyone has to have it.
Bam.
That was the way, exactly.
There you go, Wade.
That's it.
Because they help you generate mana, which you need to cast spells. And how are you going to do it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The FDA cannot look at any of those. It might help you generate mana. We can't prove the existence of sorcery here at the FDA.
Correct.
I went down a rabbit hole there, and I apologize. I wasn't meaning to do that. So I know we've talked about what comes next for City of Solstice. If this funds, what are your thoughts? Do you think more adventures, more supplements, convergence to other systems? Off the top of you, are we still just kind of holding on for dear life, waiting to get the end of the campaign and see how things shake out?
Well, we're going to get at least 4 adventures, assuming the Kickstarter funds it all. I've promised 4 adventures. I have more than that in the can. It's not up to me in a certain sense. If no one seems to want the thing, publishing adventures for it would seem to be counterproductive. But obviously, I'm a big believer in adventure support for my After Zombies game. I wound up publishing 10 adventures for that. So.
How's After Zombies doing for you?
It's still humming along. I mean, obviously, It's slowed down some because I got distracted by something else. But
squirrel.
Yeah.
That's the great bane of all games designers, right?
Right.
Is it still on sale at the moment, by the way?
Is it what?
Still on sale? Did that die yesterday or
the sale ended at Halloween? Yeah.
See, I was just about to say, if people have not seen it, it's easily worth picking it up at full price, let alone the sale price. So
yesterday you could have gotten it for $3.75.
Exactly. Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah. So
today it's a cool $9.99. But
if you are a customer on Drive-Thru RPG, you need to change your password.
They're making you change your password. You don't have a choice of that.
Yeah, there was a hacker attack. It's a whole thing. So if you want to go buy your PDFs, change your password first. And here you see the beautiful cover by Mr. John Gibbons, and that is some nice artwork.
Yeah, it is.
So, taking a quick stroll through the book. Oh
It's
man,
a gorgeous book.
It really is.
Abe did the layout on it.
That's because he is a man of style and substance.
It was.
Wow.
It's just but John's stuff is just so bloody nice. It's just presenting his stuff is just so damn easy to do. It's just like, it's such a cool game.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
so obviously, like I would be tickled if the response to the book was such. Like my dream scenario is that I get to have a full campaign published that will take players from first level to I don't know what anybody considers high level for AD&D. I'll say 15th level. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Now, Ken, if the City of Solstice comes to fruition, could we possibly see another city and then have the two cities fight?
So, for the moment, obviously, I've given some thought to what's outside the city, but one of the advantages of publishing a city is that if you keep it sufficiently self-contained, it could exist in any world. You could plop the city down in the world of Greyhawk, and it would work. I mean, the only thing you would need to decide is channeling some weird thing unique to the city, or am I going to adopt that as the magic system for the entire world? But I think other than that, it would still work. So my feeling is, like, for now, I would really love to do a campaign focused on the city before I think about anything outside the city. Just because I think an entire full campaign of, let's say, 20 adventures, I don't know that anyone has ever published anything like that before, and so it's certainly rare.
It's like one city, yeah. That's going some, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that one that Monty Cook did back in the day? It was like Telos or something like that. Or Talos.
City of Spies. Was it something like that?
It's something crazy, but it was this huge, massive, huge book.
That was like 400 pages or something.
Yeah,
800 pages or something ridiculous. It was
before Kickstarter, way before Kickstarter. I'd have to say in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was. It was third edition stuff. Yeah, but it was Patolus. It was called, I believe. Yes.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
You guys have met Sean Noakes. He's works with us on some projects at Fanning Goat Games.
Mm-hmm.
He won a copy of that at Gen Con by holding it aloft for longer than anyone else in the room.
That's the way to win it.
Yeah. His arms were sore for like 2 days, but
it was a monster. Yeah.
That and Traveler 5th Edition.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you want a game book you can stop a bullet with.
Which they've done with what book was that? I want to say it was one of the Champions books.
Boom.
Oh, is that look at the size of that thing. Baby.
Wow.
Good Lord. That's, oh my God.
And when you got a book that big, the only thing that's going to do you right is a 45 caliber.
I think this thing could stop a 45 caliber.
I will accept that challenge.
I will not.
Yeah,
You send that to me. I will put big holes in that.
Isn't Traveller 5 quite expensive? I don't think I want to be shooting holes in it.
Yeah, exactly. It cost me $75.
Exactly, that's what I thought. Yeah,
and it will cost me about 38 cents a round to ruin it.
Yeah.
That
sounds like a really good deal for you, Walt.
Remember the old Werewolf Wild West game that I think I was the only person who ever ran a campaign of? So you probably don't remember it.
I know that. Of course,
it came with a bullet hole in the cover, or it was probably just drilled at the the publisher facility. But yeah.
Could you imagine if you had to put real bullet holes in that? That would be amazing. All right, next. Poof.
You got a bunch of guys with 22 rifles over the Chinese,
22. Come on, don't be boring.
It was a fun game, but I think that was when they were overreaching on the World of Darkness lines, and I don't know one person other than me who actually ran a game set in that world. So
what? White Wolf overreach? I refuse to believe it.
Yeah, we should do a whole podcast about that. I really enjoyed Werewolf back in the day. But,
I never played it, but I absolutely adore westerns, and I love the Werewolf game. And they also did the Ghost Towns Wraith crossover book, which is something I've always wanted to read as well, because it's like Wraith is one of my favorite campaigns ever. So.
I had a lot of hope that it was going to be a little more, like you figure Wild West, on the frontier. It wouldn't be such a big deal hiding the fact that you're a werewolf if you're just, out on the plains, and they didn't really go the direction I wanted to with it, but I still had fun.
20th anniversary we've got a book out for as well, though.
I stopped paying attention to World of Darkness stuff once there were two companies publishing books, and some were just new editions of the old stuff, and some were new books completely with whole new meta plot, and I just said, that's a lot.
I didn't pick up any Chronicles of Darkness stuff for exactly that reason, but the 20th anniversary stuff, I've been buying it by the bucket load because I adore the Changeling stuff, and the idea if I can have one super massive Changeling book with everything in it, it's like, yep, that's mine.
Yeah.
If they ever get a good werewolf video game, I would be up for that.
There's one that's coming, isn't there? A werewolf game.
It seems like there's always one in development.
Yeah, they got a trailer not long ago because they've got the vampire game coming and they've got a werewolf game coming as well. But I don't exactly know what it's entailing. It seems to be lots of beating up Pentex people by the looks of it. So
that was pretty much the game. So
that's exactly that's right. Yeah,
your fuzzy superheroes beating up corporate evil people, and that was that was the whole thing.
Twilight?
No,
like a bad rip on the X-Men.
I
don't want it to be Twilight. Well,
no, God damn it! It's like Angel, guys. Come on, Angel was Joss Whedon's vampire campaign. He just turned it into a TV show.
Fair enough. Well, hey, we should wrap up. I'm getting to the top of the hour. So City of Solstice right now on Kickstarter for 8 more days. Check it out. Back it. It's a fun book. Any closing thoughts before we wrap things up, guys?
I agree with everything you just said. Solstice is awesome and deserves all your money.
When are we doing another live drawing session?
Whenever you want, Walt. Except not tonight because I'm going to the bar tonight.
Right on.
All right, Aiden, closing thoughts?
No, all good. Yeah, right. We need to talk about Watchmen at some point. But I'm happy to get a couple of episodes under my belt because I've only watched the first one so far. So
I think you guys should do a late night podcast with Jason Tondro, who is our West Coast Banff host, and talk about Watchmen because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I don't know if I will, but Jason's doing late night Banff Nights podcast where interviews start
after dark.
Banff After Dark.
Is that like Baywatch Night? Because I mean, that was pretty terrible.
That's the joke I'm making, yeah. But
Baywatch Nights was terrible, so hopefully the podcast is like saying, you get to see Hasselhoff is slightly more suave.
100% less Hasselhoff, 100% more Starfinder developers.
Now, is Jason wearing a bikini while he's doing this?
Why are you asking me this question?
Because it's Baywatch Nights.
Actually, saying that, I think there's actually probably a less bikini cat in Baywatch Nights because it was a night. So there's actually probably the 80s kind of Miami Vice style stuff with shoulder pads and that kind of stuff going on.
Well, it's night with a K, right? It's Baywatch Night.
That could be even more confusing. Yeah, it's Batman in Baywatch.
They're fishing guys in plate mail out of the ocean.
I think we're writing a script right now, and I like it. There's a murder at the medieval ages restaurant. We're fixing guys with plate mail out of the river.
Guy in plate mail gets thrown into the ocean. Zac Efron and The Rock show up and pull him out of the water.
Yes. Oh my God.
I always like seeing The Rock on screen. I never fully enjoy any of his movies, but he's just always a fun guy to watch on screen.
He is such a fun guy to watch. I seriously hope that dude runs for president.
I would have argued against that at one point, but these days, yeah, fuck it, I would trade him right now. Gary Busey was on Broadway this month.
What?
Gary Busey was on a Broadway musical.
Now, is it animatronic Gary Busey? Because I mean, he.
Yeah, is it zombie Gary Busey?
It's actual Gary Busey as God.
Awesome.
It's had 18 performances, and it got shut down.
Huh.
The play was called Only Human, and it was a comedy where he was playing the Supreme Being, and it had 8 previews, 18 shows, sold no tickets, and so now it's wrapping up. So,
Good
sorry.
Lord.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go there, but
let's talk about other failed Broadway shows.
That's the big one I have off the top. There's a publicity still.
You can almost see the wire holding him up.
Yeah. And the sad part is his feet are on the ground, but he still has a rig holding him up.
There's a lot of pharmaceuticals involved. The last thing I saw him in was he was in the last of Sharknado movie.
Of course he was.
Playing what's her name's dad. Who was
Tara
also
Reid's dad?
Yeah, Tara
That
Reid's
explains
dad.
a lot. That explains a lot about her character in that
I
franchise.
do swear the Sharknado movies do seem to be a gathering hub for just like, yeah, you were famous 15, 20 years ago. Just pop in.
It's a vortex of lost actors production.
Yeah.
She had died in one of the previous movies, and he brought her back with cybernetics. He's a mad scientist.
That makes sense.
Perfect.
How does that make sense?
Anything else in that movie?
It makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't had a cybernetic shark in one of those movies.
Well, the very last one of those was kind of it was a time jump, sort of like back, comics, But 10 years ago they had both Batman and Captain America were time lost, going from different timelines, trying to get back to the right timeline. And who's the main character in that? The blonde guy from 90210.
Yeah,
Ian Ziering.
Ziering.
Yeah, so he had to go through a different timeline trying to get back to the right timeline and stop the Sharknado. And in one of those, there's a post-apocalyptic timeline where his cybernetic ex-wife has multiplied into a hive mind and taken over the planet, and he has to fight her while waiting for the time machine to take him back to...
You know what's freaking me out is I'm not sure whether you're being serious right now. You could be making this up, or this could have actually happened, and I'm not sure which one, and I'm not okay with it.
It's
either version, right?
It's that kind of show. The guy who played the doctor on Love Boat was a charter fishing boat captain.
It's a serious downgrade.
Okay, but that last one, Sharknado, doesn't sound like a Rick and Morty episode. That sounds like something that could easily walk out of that and go, yeah, that's right.
The whole thing, it's an entertaining movie if you cut about 80% of it out and you just did like quick cuts from different, cut most of the dialogue out and just stick to the, Anyway, City of Solstice, 8 days left on Kickstarter. Check it out. And we are
If
wrapping.
this hasn't convinced you to back it, nothing will.
I'm sorry, Chuck. Should we do a better sales pitch?
No.
Oh, all right.
You think I'm kidding, but I'm serious. If this doesn't convince you to back it, I don't know. I got nothing.
All right.
Cyber sharks. That was what you need.
Zombie sharks and cybernetic Tara Reid right in the middle of the city.
There you go. Job's good.
That's my new band name, Cybernetic Tara Reid. All right. Hey, folks, check us out on the BAM podcast. We will see you next time.
Boom.
And we are out. And here's this
Yeah.
awkward moment.